Guys, know very little at this point. What I can tell you is what I can see. The parade was just beginning when there was a lot of commotion with the band and what looks to be the Gulf Shores band. From my untrained eye perspective, some of the injuries do look fairly serious. Certainly want to let everybody know our thoughts and prayers are with them. Certainly not the way this festive day was expected to have begun.
He just put her in high gear and mowed him down.
It looked like about 8 of the band members being attended to. Were you able to get any kind of idea from speaking with other members of the band what kind of injuries we're talking about?
No, I don't know. No, they were gathered over here, and I just see them lying out here right now. So I don't know other than this one here is he was motionless.
We're going to walk up just a little bit, but once again, we're going to stay well back out of the way. We don't want to interfere with any of the work going on by emergency crews right now. Understandably, you can see large crowds of parents, other band members gathered around, emergency crews. These injuries that I was able to witness extended from everything from what looked to be people very skinned up to broken bones, potentially. And that is just from what I was able to briefly see when I walked up close to the scene. But once again, we want to stay well back from this scene to allow emergency crews to do their jobs, to do everything they can do to help these young kids who are just at the beginning of this parade route to welcome in Fat Tuesday to this huge Gulf Shores crowd that is gathered today to watch the parade. A lot of uncertainty, of course, now on how the rest of the day will play out here, but we've got some crime scene tape going up right now, really just cautionary tape to keep everybody back away from this scene so that the emergency crews and responders on the scene can do their jobs. Grant Brown with City of Gulf Shores here now. Just a terrible way this started. Can you lighten us up a little bit on what happened?
Yeah, a lot of the details are still unknown, but a group of children in a band that were marching in the parade were hit by a vehicle that was also in the parade. We're not sure of all their conditions just yet, but unfortunately we are canceling the parade.
And we certainly want to offer our prayers up for everybody involved. As you can see, this is now been going on for about 25 minutes, and emergency crews are still tending to quite a few band members still out on Highway 59. I see a lot of looks like leg injuries, as you can imagine. When a vehicle comes in and hits you on the highway, it could be a variety of injuries. We certainly don't know the extent of those injuries to any of these children, any of these kids, so we just want to make sure that we keep them in our prayers for right now. That's the main thing, and want to let everybody know that the parade has been canceled in Gulf Shores. If you have any friends or family that are down here for the parade and you're watching this on television, please let them know. If you can call them, text them. They could be a couple miles from where we are waiting on the parade to come. Let them know it has been canceled, and to please make their way out of town by way of Orange Beach and north from that direction.
This is what's happening just about every Friday and Saturday night on I-165 between downtown Mobile and the Bay Bridge Road exit. Sports cars, muscle cars, and motorcycles take turns drag racing back and forth, and we caught it on camera while we were pulled over undercover along the highway. The racers, totally unconcerned about our car sitting on the side of the highway with its hazard lights on, passing right by us, shaking our car. The racers gather here at this gas station near the entrance of the 165. Then they race throughout the early morning hours. On the 3 different weekends that I've been out here witnessing this activity while undercover, I've counted as many as 30 different sports cars and motorcycles gathered here. And then they take turns racing the strip just down the road.
Just see it as an extreme hazard to the general public and families that travel that highway.
This man, who wanted to remain anonymous, works nearby. He says he's seen it go on for a year now, so he tipped us off to the problem, hoping for a change.
I just want something done about it, and You know, say if my family or your family travels down that highway in the middle of the night, they're totally at risk, unnecessary risk, and it's senseless.
It's definitely not a safe practice. Last year, 80 people across the country were killed in street racing crashes, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. And since 2014, 6 people in Alabama have died from racing-related accidents. One of those victims, 33-year-old Rodney McQueen of Mobile, who died while racing his best friend on Duval Street.
And when I pulled up, I just jumped out of the car, and his car almost looked like a can, and he was laying on the ground, but they had already covered him up.
McQueen's sister says she misses her brother every day.
It's just a terrible, terrible time. Terrible time. It's been 3 years, but it's still a terrible time.
Knowing the real dangers behind street racing, I showed our findings about the racing on I-165 to Mobile Police. After seeing our videos, Mobile Police Chief Lawrence Batiste agreed to crack down on the racers.
Not only are they placing themselves at risk, but they're placing the entire community at risk from their behavior.
Saturday night, we watched as the racers started their usual night of breaking the law.
He ain't got no headlights on.
Around 1 a.m., a group of racers zoomed by. One driver didn't even have his headlights on while traveling at speeds topping 100 miles an hour.
Mustang, no headlights.
The undercover officers called in descriptions of the racing cars to officers in marked vehicles.
Tell him this white one too, right here. He's pulling it over.
Those officers in uniform then pulled over the racers at the gas station and started issuing citations. The undercover officers, whose identities we're concealing so they can participate in future operations, tell us they were glad we alerted them to what's been happening.
Honestly, I would have never have known this was going on. I didn't really even know what the process was until we got here. And then you guys gave us a little bit of information, details. We went up there, seen it, and felt it for ourselves. And I'm just really glad that we were able to see it and take a little bit of action against it. Hopefully set an example to others. It looks like we have so far. Just hope that it stays this way, because this is just really dangerous to have this going on. So it's nice to help take part in this.
On February 15th, I actually noticed that the alarm was going off. So I stepped on my porch and I just looked around.
Tammy Reed lives and works directly across the street from the Olin Corporation chemical plant in McIntosh. She remembers the night of the chlorine gas leak vividly.
When I stepped outside and took a big sniff, something is fishy. At that time, I was just thinking, okay, it must be just something malfunctioning with them, because if it actually was something devastating going on, they would actually come around and alarm people and let us know. But like I said, I didn't hear no one did come around.
Olin has admitted that while their shelter-in-place alarm sounded, the community call notification system was not working at the time of the incident. So neighbors were not aware that a toxic gas was floating near their homes. Not long after the leak, Reed said she was diagnosed with asthma.
The next following day, like something was just choking me.
A supervisor called 911 about an hour and a half after the company's incident report shows the leak began. Listen as the supervisor asks for the dispatcher's advice.
There's chlorine gas at the boat landing. Do you think we need an officer to block off the road for nobody to go down to the boat landing?
I can send you one if you want me to. How long do you think it'll take for that to blow out?
Well, most of the event is over with.
Okay.
There's still some probably coming off the top of the tank, but it's not a lot. But when I get back to my monitors, I can call you back.
Okay.
Or,
I'll go ahead and have McIntosh stage up right there, and just call me back and let me know, okay?
Okay, thank you.
We were out here on the highway whenever we got the call.
Lieutenant Charles Koger responded to block off the boat landing, the exact spot where the supervisor told the 911 dispatcher the chlorine gas was located.
We could smell the strong smell of chlorine. I was feeling somewhat discomfort in my throat, at the time, breathing it, sort of like a scratchy type feeling.
Koger says they stayed at the boat landing for about 10 minutes, and then they were asked to block off all of River Road because the chlorine cloud was affecting the entire neighborhood. Koger says he got really sick and had to miss work.
It was probably about 2 days after that, I started developing a cough, then being congested. It lasted probably a good week.
He's still upset that Olin did not advise him that he should not be directly in harm's way.
They should be at the top of their game, They wasn't.
In an incident report, Olin said 738 pounds of chlorine gas was released that night due to a lack of attention to detail by employees working at the plant. The report says after maintenance crews finished their work, settings were not returned to normal. So when the night shift came in to do their regular duties, chlorine started leaking. So just how much is 738 pounds of chlorine gas? Well, to put it into perspective, chemical experts tell me it would be just about enough to almost fill one entire tank car, like you see here. Chlorine gas can be deadly. It was weaponized during World War I and has more recently been used as a lethal weapon in the war in Syria. A material safety data sheet written by Olin says chlorine gas is, quote, irritating to the respiratory system, may cause throat pain and cough, even saying it can cause heart disease, respiratory disorders, and asthma.
So I have asthma. Asthma also.
Reed and Lieutenant Koger both agree that Olin should be doing more to ensure first responders and nearby residents are safe.
From what I see, I don't think they care because no one actually came out and checked on after the incident happened and see if anyone was affected.
Better communication. Communication is the key to it all. Communication is going to save lives. It'll let us know what we're going into, what we need to do as far as the community concerned. We just hadn't had that from them.